Hi, my name is Lauren Barbie, and I am a junior at UNT in the Drawing and Painting program. My main medium that I work in is acrylic paint, although I have been dabbling in oil paint recently. My body of work switches between two things, discussing religious imagery and iconography, as seen in the paintings on the left and the right, and then memes and mainstream media in the serious art world, like the painting in the middle. So my creative process usually starts with an idea, like any other art usually starts with. After getting the idea, I will throw down some thumbnail sketches or a more refined sketch depending on my vision for the piece and how well defined the idea is in my mind, like the thumbnail on the left and the two sketches on the right. The more refined the idea is, the less sketches I usually have to do, as they're more for composition purposes. If I don't have a set vision for how I want a piece to look, I will do a little bit of research into related topics or artists, or I will just brainstorm with either my professors or my friends. Usually, I'm not a huge research person, so most of what I do usually just comes directly from my brain and my imagination. So once I get the sketches down, I will gesso my canvas a few times just to get it to be smooth and, sand it down so there's no gaps in the thread of the canvas. And then with reference photos in hand, like the reference on the left, I will freehand the sketch, usually onto whatever media, usually canvas, I'm using for the piece. Once the sketch is placed on the canvas, I will tone the canvas with like a fun bright color like turquoise or orange, like on the right, because it makes my colors pop and it's just fun to paint on. So after my canvas is prepped, I will start placing paint down. Depending on what paint I'm using, my process can go a few different ways. So for this slide, it is showing my acrylic process. So if I'm using acrylic, I will typically do everything in one layer, usually in more blocky, unblended forms. As the drying time for acrylic is so quick, blending is really difficult for me, so I just find it easier to get more shapy with my colors than make them look super smooth, as it also adds some depth to my personal style. I still do sometimes use blending, like on the clouds on the left, but it usually just is more difficult and more frustrating than anything for me, so I usually just use blocky colors, as it just is so much simpler. However, if I'm using oil, I will go in with a very loose acrylic underlay to block in colors, typically with a blockier style just to put down color and get the canvas to fill up. And then I will go in with oil on top, as the thin layers of oil would be too time-consuming to do by themselves, especially on a larger canvas. With oil, however, I'm very new to using it, so I end up treating oil paint like it's acrylic, and I paint in thicker layers with less medium than I probably should. It is hard to get out of the acrylic mindset when you've been using it for 5 years, so it's just a learning curve for me. And as an artist, I really want to grow out of my practice into something that is less gallery-oriented and more me making art that I think is fun. I want to work somewhere in the animation or game design industry, and so making art that I enjoy really lays within the realm of cartoons and modern-day media. And the more I create, the more I want to lean into the shows and fan artists that inspire me today, which you can see my kind of influences in these finished pieces, especially with the pieces like Venus of Pikmin, and my just sort of semi-realistic styles on my humans.